kids going to do Friday night when they got a 2.5-hour bus trip, get off of it and play football?
It's tough, but I have confidence in our kids. I know that they give everything they have on every play. We just didn't execute, and execution is very important. But as far as effort goes, I've never had a disappointing Friday night with the effort that we gave.
Yeah.
So and we're still in it. I mean, we still got a
right.
We got a real good chance of going on after this Friday, and we got to take care of business Friday.
Down 21-6 at the half. I mean, your backs are against the wall there. You come in at halftime on the road, playing in a different place, even though you brought a huge crowd with us on Friday night. What is it that you're talking about at halftime in order to try and get yourselves back in the ball game?
We just talked about, I just talked about disappointment. I tried to pound that into their heads, and then, but we left the locker room on a positive note, and average players just want to be around and be average. They want to be part of a team. Mm-hmm. Good players want to be coached up. They want to be coached up. They want to be coached up hard. And the great players are able to know what's right and what's wrong, and they want you to correct them. And we have a bunch of kids that I'm not saying they're pros. I'm not saying they're college material. I'm not saying anything except that they are good high school football players that want to be great high school football players. So, when you're critical of them, it's corrective criticism, but, sometimes I get carried away, but our players, they respond, and they came out and we turned the ball over the first play of the second half, and we took it in and scored. But, the thing that's been a little bit funny lately is, our drives are 16-play drives, 14-play drives,
right.
12-play drives, 18-play drives. We haven't broken one out since the Dover game. So hopefully we can get a couple big plays Friday night and stop the big plays. We gave up 2 big plays Friday, and we didn't have any as far as we might have had one. Crawford broke that option out down to about the 6-yard line.
Yeah.
That was a play over 20 yards. But other than that, we just have to drives are good. Drives eat up time, but at that time of the game, at that part of the game, we needed time on the clock.
Well, getting back to it, I know we were talking about it the last time I was talking to you, was your schedule getting ready for the playoffs. You play a bunch of different teams, and this is time as you're going on the road against the Sales and get that atmosphere so you can get used to it. But I know what you're talking about, Big Red kids. They're always going to play hard. They're always going to give you maximum effort. Playoff-wise, you could just win Friday, and you got a pretty good shot to get that home game, what your first goal of the year is anyway.
Yeah, but really, all I care about is Friday. Man. I just want our players to be we haven't been in pads in 3 weeks, but we were in pads all day yesterday and all day today, and we will be all day tomorrow. And I just want to drop every ounce of effort into Friday night. Number one, because it's a local team, and number two, we're on a 2-game losing streak. And like I said, it's tough to win, but it's tougher to lose.
Cody, we talk about the schedule, and you guys do this every year, and we know there's really nobody around here that really wants to play you, and that's a shame. And even some of the bigger schools that were playing you for a while dropped off of that list. And you get these schedules, and it prepares you, I think, more for playoffs, because we see so many teams in our area who play in leagues that I don't think are very well suited to getting you ready for playoffs. They end up getting in there in the first round. They end up getting knocked right out. But you guys have shown the resiliency with that schedule. By the time you get to the playoffs, you're not afraid of anybody because you've already played teams that are good enough that are going to give battles in playoffs.
I think that as a coach, I think that every coach should play the schedule that he thinks is going to make his team better. Mm-hmm. So, there's reasons why people do everything, and I'm not to second guess anybody. Naturally, I wish we did. There's some really good teams in the Valley that would make great home games,
yeah.
And the kids would have fun with it. But as a coach, I'm going to do what's best for our team, as I expect every other coach to do what's best for his team. So as far as anybody else's schedule, what they do, that's their business and on them. All I know is I want our players that if we're lucky enough and good enough to get in to be at the best position to win. And if you look at our schedule this year, I think only 2015 compares to it. And 2015 might have been a little bit tougher, but we had some games that were easy in 2015. And if you see right now, every game we've played since the opener has gone down to the wire.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot out of your players, but just Friday, I'll just be the happiest guy in the world if we go out there and we play the way I know these kids can play, because they've worked hard, and they've done everything that possible to be a good football player, and most of the time we've done everything possible to have a good team. But I thought that there for a while we were clicking on all cylinders, but we had to get some spark plugs changed, and hopefully we're ready to go Friday night.
That's my question. Let's talk about the schedule for a minute. We've mentioned a few teams around. We talked about there's teams around the area you'd like to play. Do you guys contact these teams and say, hey, we'd like to play a home and home or whatever, and they just turn you down? Because, there's some, a few decent teams in the Valley it'd be nice to have a home and home with.
No comment.
You just
I ain't saying that to be smart, but I'm saying that every coach does what's best for their team, and I don't criticize anybody for what they're doing, because there's about 5 or 6 teams in the Valley that has a chance to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So what they're doing evidently works for them.
Yeah.
And we just, I'm worried about me, my family, and our football team is my main concern, and the football team probably stepped in front of my family and me for this week, and we just have to be. We went to go see Lindsay play last Friday, and they had about 5 or 6 kids that didn't play, and they're all ready to go now. And I know the coach at Pew is going to come up here, and he's going to put his best team on the field, and we're going to put our wits against his wits and our players against his players. And hopefully I don't do anything to screw it up, and our players just play. I just want them to go out there and let it loose, let it hang out, and play as hard, as clean, and as passionate as they can on every play.
You're not used to having a 2-game losing streak, and they've got 2 straight coming into this ball game, so something's going to give. But when you have a 2-game losing streak like this, is there anything you do differently in this week in preparation for the team coming up in your schedule? You change anything around, or just try to bust out of something, or you just keep going?
I forgot about the 2-game losing streak, but
well, sorry.
That's a good point. So really it was a 3-game losing streak because we were open between the 2 losses. So we haven't won in 3 weeks. Hopefully we change that Friday. But, here's one thing I know. I know we're going to go out there with a passion. Mm-hmm. And we've played with a passion all year. We just haven't executed passionately. But, our players know that when they break that huddle, whatever play we call or whatever defense we call has to be more important to us than it is to Lindsley. Yeah. And we have to do that for 48 minutes of just focused football.
Good. My question is, I could answer that question when he asked about them area teams. I could answer that for you.
Yeah.
Easy for you. But just yearly, we're always talking. He's talking about schedule all the time. Your schedule, I can't remember the last time has Steubenville Big Red lost a first-round playoff game. If I'm not mistaken, it was.
I can.
I know you can. If I'm mistaken, it's Dover at home, correct?
2009. We had a 4th and 2 and got stopped short.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But your schedule gets you prepared because you're always advancing. And I know they always say, well, talent. You got to have talent. Well, you got to have kids that do what you tell them to do to be ready to play football for Steubenville Big Red.
I don't want you to jinx us.
Yeah, right.
You're in trouble then.
Hey, one thing that, I was looking through the stat lines after the game on the way home and also earlier today. There were some good things that I thought.
Well, stats lie because we won all the stats.
Yeah, right. You had more first downs. You had only 3 penalties the whole game compared to their 9. Only 1 punt and didn't lose any fumbles or anything like that. So when you look at those kind of stats, at least, even though you lose is that encouraging at all?
It just it's field position. You know, on the first play of the game, we turned it over, but like I said, we stopped them on fourth down and had roughing the quarterback. And you don't give teams like the Sales two chances inside the 30. Right. You know, so they went from inside the 30 to inside the 15 to scoring. You know, then we came back and tied it up. Momentum's on our side. You know, and then we missed the extra point, so that loses momentum. Every time we got back to where we wanted to be, you know, something happened where, you know, and we never overcame all the adversity that came our way. But with 6 minutes and 42 seconds ago, we still had a shot. And then after that, we had a shot. We had them 4th and 4. But you know, so we didn't take advantage of everything. But that's over. And if we learn from that, if we can play as well as we know how to play Friday, then after Friday, if we're lucky enough to win Friday, everybody's 0-0. Right. So, you know, it starts all over again. And hopefully we learn from every negative thing that's happened to us.
The Reno Suckcoach Coaches Show is being brought to you by Fort Steuben Maintenance. We're broadcasting live from Bennigan's. Let's take a time out. We'll be back to talk about Lindsley after these words.
Got a sidewalk that needs replaced, or maybe your roof is leaking? How about some new windows? Who do you call? Fort Steuben Maintenance, that's who. Commercial or residential, they can handle most any project, big or small. They also do new construction and renovations. So get a free estimate by calling Fort Steuben Maintenance today and get them started on your next project. 740-283-4890 for Fort Steuben Maintenance.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Oh.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out on basketball. He's eager to play, and you can see the difference in his game.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Want to become a sponsor of this online sports broadcast? It's easy. Look us up on Facebook under Ohio Valley Sports Online. Drop us a message right on our wall or shoot us an email. More bang for your buck. Why? Because it's not radio. It's an online internet sports broadcast with unlimited and endless potential for you. Why settle for less when you can advertise with the best? Ohio Valley Sports Online. Thanks, Fort Steuben Maintenance, for sponsoring Big Red Head football coach Reno Suckcoach on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bennigan's. Jim Huggins, Billy Ellis, along with Dan Vogel and head coach Reno Suckcoach. But first, tomorrow's Halloween. And here at Bennigan's, they're going to have Halloween night specials from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock p.m. They're also going to have Shelley Duff performing here live. Come dressed up for a Bennigan's Halloween bash or just come anyways. $12 Great Lakes, what is that word, Nosferatu? That's 5 12-ounce bottles. $2 PBR drafts, $3 domestic drafts, including Miller Lite, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, and Blue Moon. $3 Manager Craft Special, Purple Haze, Raspberry Lager Draft. I had one of those, pretty good. $4 Guinness Drafts, $4 Jack Daniels, $4 Bacardi, and $4 Smirnoff, and $5 Bar Bite appetizers tomorrow from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. here at Bennigan's. So, Coach, we turn our attention now to the Lindsley Cadets, 7-2 on the season. Coach DePue's been there a long time. And, they can't go to the playoffs, but they would love nothing more than come into Steubenville and get a win there. But when we look at them, you haven't played them in a long time. How did that go about getting them on the schedule for you guys? Did you give them a call and say, hey, BJ, let's get together?
He called me and said that they would like the opportunity to play if we had an open date. And we both had the 10th game open, and that's what we settled on. It's a one-year contract. And hopefully it goes longer than that, but, it'll be up to him. And I'm just, thrilled that we get the opportunity to compete against them. He's been there since probably he was on 1, and because his dad was the coach before him, so
Right.
He's been there a long time, and he's earned every bit of every bit of accolades he's had. He's earned there from ground one.
It's been 76 years since you guys played them, 1943, according to Mr. Lumen. And, what is it about Lindsley?
Mr. Lumen?
Yeah.
You better check it, then it might be wrong.
Right. I know. I always double check my stats with his all the time. But, this is a team started off 7-0, or 7-2 now, like you. I was talking to Mike Young, the head coach of Wheeling Central, a while back at a press conference. And he told me, he says, well, Lindsley's got the biggest offensive line he's ever seen in high school football.
Well, I second that. I went to see him in person last Saturday, and they have some monsters of the Midway, and they're good kids, man. I mean, they played hard. It was a tough field to play on. Saturday, that game could have gone either way, but and they held quite a few kids out of the game that were at practice yesterday. So they're going to be a full steam ahead on Friday night.
What are the things they like to do offensively? We'll talk that way first as far as.
They're multiple. They're multiple. Depends on whether 14's a quarterback or 11. If 14's a quarterback, they have a little bit better passing game because 11 can help them out as a receiver. So they'll go with 11, 8, 9, 16. They'll have some good receivers out there. Now, the best back that I saw early, I haven't seen him lately, but number 24 and 26 have come in, and they've done a really good job against Wheeling Central. They were good, and although Wheeling Central got a couple key kids hurt, Lindsley stuck with it, and Lindsley did a very good job against them. They had a good game against Martins Ferry. And it's just been a good season for them. But injuries have affected them as they have affected us.
Mm-hmm. And their injuries, you say they're getting a couple of those guys back.
They were at practice yesterday, so the key guys. Number 8's back. He's a key receiver for him. 16 and 9 will be back to the receivers. And 14 didn't play last week. He had his arm in a sling, but he practiced yesterday. So they're going to have the lineup that we saw earlier, minus number 23. I think his name's Cook. I'm not sure, but they're minus number 23.
So this is kind of like their state championship game, correct? Because they can't go to the playoffs.
It's not a state championship because we're in Ohio. They're in West Virginia.
Yeah,
it's theirs.
But you know what I'm saying.
It's a big game for both of us. I mean, we're both on a 2-game losing streak. We're on a 3-week losing streak, and both from the Valley, and both trying to represent our community and our school, and everything's right. Everything's riding on this game for both teams. We want to win because it's on our schedule, and they want to win. It's their last game of the year. But everybody, both teams want to win for the right reasons, and I'm sure that everybody will be at their best Friday night.
I know I'm a little unclear on this, and maybe you can explain this to the listeners as to why Lindsley is not eligible for West Virginia playoffs. Why is that? I'm not even clear on that.
If I had to guess, probably because they have kids from different areas that don't sit out a year, or maybe they have a fifth-year player. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I mean, I don't even care why. It's just that.
I just thought that was kind of weird.
But they're eligible for the OVAC championship, which to some people is like a state championship, and I don't know why. In fact, I don't even know if I knew that they weren't eligible for a playoff. But I know one thing: their kids play good, and I went down there Saturday. It was the first time I was ever at Lindsley at a football game, and their fans are passionate. If some of them guys didn't play football, they sure sounded like they did. They were behind their team 100%, and so was West Reserve. I mean, it was a great physical game, and quite a few flags here and there, but it was a physical football game, and both teams played with a lot of pride. And like I said, Lindsley just wasn't didn't have a peak performance because they didn't have some of their key players there that that should be ready to go Friday.
What do they do? What is there anything that concerns you? What they do?
They go everything
offensively?
from a spread to 3 backs in the backfield.
How difficult is that to prepare for that?
It's difficult, but you go basic fundamentals. Basic fundamentals. Just get lined up right, and we'll know what they're in by the numbers and the personnel that's in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But we just that can't matter. We got to win the line of scrimmage. That's the they're 350, 325, 335. But we got to win the line of scrimmage, and that's our goal, is to win the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the line of scrimmage has the best opportunity of winning the game, and that's what it comes down to. Whether you're playing for Big Red Lindsley or the Jets or Patriots, who's controlling the line of scrimmage?
Yeah. I guess, okay, let me follow up on that then. When you have a team, you play teams that have smaller offensive lines. You play teams that have bigger offensive lines like this one does. You're a defense guy who runs your defensive line and stuff, your coach. How do they counteract a size of a guy? I mean, is it basically trying to shoot gaps, tie guys up, let your linebackers come in? With a team that has a bigger offensive
Shooting
line?
gaps probably get you double teamed, so we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just technique. In the beginning of the game, they might have a little bit of an advantage, but as the game goes on, whoever can hold to their technique for the longest has the best chance of winning.
Right.
And football comes down to blocking, tackling, and there's a proper way to block, there's a proper way to tackle. So technique is very important when it comes to it doesn't come down to size all the time. It comes down to technique, and maybe if it's a size, it's the size of your heart, not the size of your foot or your head or your shoulders or your chest. It's your want-to-itiveness. Everything. It's a chemistry. It's everything. If one person, if you have 10 guys in the right spot and one guy not in the right spot, they might hit that hole for a touchdown. So everybody has to be on the same page. Defensively, you have to be gap sound, and offensively, you can't be a 3-and-out team, because if you keep giving them the ball,
Right.
Then they have the people that are gonna smash you right in your face, and I'm sure that'll be their goal, to come out and just bloody our noses and stuff like that. But we've had our noses bleeding before. You just got to play with a bloody nose. That's all.
Was you watching ESPN last night? Because you sound just like the LSU coach. That's exactly how he said it last night when they were interviewing him about LSU, Alabama. He goes, I don't care how fast they are on the outside. It's who's going to win the line of scrimmage. That's in every game,
I didn't watch TV last night.
Coach, offensively against their defense, what do they do defensively? How do you counteract that? Do you
They're
do anything
multiple
differently?
defense, big, strong in the middle, real nice speed, athletic outside, and we just have to stay square on our man. We have to stay square on our man and take him where he wants to go. Our backs have to have good eyes, and we have to be really good on our play action pass. And if we can play action pass and our back runs with good eyes, and we can at least get a little crease, I think that if we can create a little crease, I think that our backs are good enough where they can get 3 or 4 yards, and it's going to be a 3 or 4 yard game.
Mm-hmm. This is a game that, let's talk a little bit about playoffs. I mean, this is the 10th week. We got a lot of teams in the Valley have a shot at getting into the playoffs. When you look at, I know you want to win this game and you want to get a home game. Is there anybody in particular that when you look at these, when you look at the standings and see where you sit at and what's being predicted, and you look through that bracket that you're in Region 9, I think it is there any teams out there that you like to play first, you don't want to play? I mean, do you even look at anything like that as far as who's in the bracket with you?
Not yet. I mean, we have guys, going scouting and stuff like that. But right now, we can't control what they do tomorrow or Friday.
Right.
We got to control, everybody. If you need 5 teams to win, all 5 of them can win. If you don't, you're out. Mm-hmm. We have to play the game the way it was meant to be played. And that's with a passion and not worried about next week or last week. We got to worry about every play for 6 seconds. And I know that's redundant, but that's just the mentality that we have to take. And if we don't take that mentality, then we deserve to get our butts kicked.
You had some guys come back last week. Well, how about this week? How's the health of the team going into the game?
The guys that will be out there are going to be healthy. The guys that are out there are going to be 100%. And that's all. That's all I care about. The guys that are out there being 100% and giving everything they have plus some. And, be willing to work so hard that you're crawling off the field at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take. I mean, it's going to take that for 48 minutes. And, you have to play with a passion. You have to play with a passion. And if you're not passionate about what you're doing, then the guy across from you is going to beat you. And you deserve to get beat if you don't play with a passion.
And I know it's a home game, last regular season home game of the season, so you expect the fans to be out there. You want the fans to be out there and be in a frenzy because, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen after this week. You might have to go on the road, but if you're home, they get these fans again, so they got to really help you out too, I think.
I don't know who will be there or how many will be there, but I know the people that are there will be there to help us win, and I appreciate that. And like I said before, we have a lot of fans that are elderly, and they'll be by those phones, by those radios. And I wish they had those little transistor radios with the earpiece because that would be a lot of fun to see those old timers listen to that. But we gotta earn our fans' support, and so the better we play earlier in the game, the more support they'll give. And if we don't earn their support, then we don't deserve it. So we got to go out there and earn their support from the opening kickoff.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time as always. I know it's tough coming off a loss to talk, but we appreciate you coming in there, and hopefully we get a victory on Friday, and hopefully another home game on the following Friday. So that would be nice to go out with. So thanks again as always. We appreciate the time, and we'll see you on Friday night.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you for the hamburger.
Yeah, you're right. Coach Reno Sarkoch of the Steubenville Big Red. Let's take a timeout. Steubenville Catholic Central's Tony Agresta will be with us after these words.
Fort Steuben Maintenance should be your first choice when it comes to any and all construction projects, whether it's commercial or residential. Make Fort Steuben Maintenance your first call. You can rely on them to be the experts when it comes to roofing, concrete, plumbing, carpentry, just about any job that needs done. Fort Steuben Maintenance, they're fully licensed and bonded and will even give you a free estimate. Fort Steuben Maintenance. You want the number? 740-283-4890.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Ohio, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
A pioneer of casual dining, Bennigan's is internationally known for its unique neighborhood vibe and exceptional chef-driven food. Come to Bennigan's on University Boulevard to stir up a great memory. Come for happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. and get $1 off draft and bottled beer and $1 off signature cocktails. Grab some bar bites too, only $5 from 9 p.m. to close. Hey, are you a soccer fan? Check out the schedule of English Premier League soccer games. Bennigan's even has delivery service, and the number to call, 740-792-8080. You got a friend at Bennigan's.
Thank you.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
Thanks, Bennigan's, for sponsoring Catholic Central High School head football coach Tony Agresta on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
Making him get up and do a certain amount of steps a day, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bennigan's on the Ohio Valley Coaches Show. Broadcasting live from Bennigan's. And, folks, Bennigan's is having a Halloween night special tomorrow night from 8 to 11 p.m. Live music. Shelley Duff will be here performing. Come dressed up for a Bennigan's Halloween bash or just come anyways. $12 Great Lakes Nosferatus, 5 12-ounce bottles. I don't even know what that is. Sounds pretty good for $12. $2 PBR drafts, $3 domestic drafts, including Miller Lite, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, and Blue Moon. $3 Manager Craft Special, the Purple Haze. That's a raspberry lager draft. $4 Guinness draft, $4 Jack Daniels, $4 Bacardi, $4 Smirnoff, and $5 Bar Bite appetizers tomorrow night, Halloween night. So come dressed up or come dressed the way you always dress. Maybe that'll scare some people. So we welcome head coach Tony Greston. Coach, congratulations. A nice win on Saturday in the elements, the rain and everything. I know it was a sloppy game with the football being wet and everything, but good job. I'm going to start with the opening drive. 10.5 minutes. 78 yards. I don't know how many plays it ended up being, but that's tough. That's tough on a defense. I think that kind of set the tone because Madonna's got to be exhausted after 10.5 minutes and their offense isn't even on the field yet. And you guys did a nice job and finished the drive with a touchdown.
Yeah, we did. Now, it took a fourth down play to do it, but thank God we did finish it after hanging on to the ball that long. But truth be told, I think we should have been off the field after the sixth play if we would have completed the halfback pass.
Right, exactly. Stop running. We're like, run.
So, the good thing about that is, if you're playing a football game, you're taking possessions away from the other team, but a 10.5 minute drive on your end means you're going to probably lose a couple possessions yourself in the first half, which we did. Yeah. But it's always nice to start like that. Absolutely.
Well, they come back and score. You block the extra point, which is big because you still have a lead at that point. And in these kind of games, there's always had good games between Central and Madonna, and that was no different last Saturday. And as you look at the ball game itself, winning at 17-12, they score to make it a 5-point game, miss a 2-point conversion, and then nobody scores the rest of the time. But that's just kind of like a knockdown, drag-out affair with with the conditions and everything. And you guys stood tall with that. A lot of offense, 229 yards on the ground. And over 100 yards rushing. So even in the elements, your offense did pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. We were very disappointed. We put the ball on the ground 5 times. Yeah. That's never good. And look, there was rain, but that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You have to deal with that stuff. So that was a little disappointing for us. Plus, 100 yards and penalties didn't help us either. So, 100 yards and penalties.
Wait, let Dan turn your mic.
You might want to keep it on for me. That was my next question to you. I didn't get to go to the game, so I listened to it on the radio. It seems like there was a flag every other play.
Oh, sickening.
Just every play. Here's a yellow flag. I was texting Jags and Jason. I was like, take it easy on the refs. They were that. Was it bad or was this?
Listen, we even picked up some of the comments when Jason was standing up.
That's a trap question.
Well, it was not good.
Well, here's the thing. You always want the kids to be able to play. You know what I'm saying? You hear everybody say that, but you have to avoid the foolish penalties. Look, I think your players, your coach and staff, they have to realize how the game is being officiated, and you have to make some adjustments. So. Again, we thought that maybe we could have scored 2 or 3 more times, in that football game, but 100 yards and penalties and 5 fumbles are going to prohibit you from doing that. So,
well, with the officiating crew, I get to the point where I'm like, listen, we're not here to watch you. Everybody's here to watch the kids, unless it's a, blatant thing. Out in the open, everybody see it. Let the kids play. Let the kids decide again. That's just way too many penalties. And then I caught some of the comment when Jason was standing down there. His microphone picked up conversation between you and the refs, and they were going to flag you if you took another step out on. I'm like, come on, they got to go over and work with you and say, listen, this is what's going on, and stuff like that. But it just seemed like it was kind of combative for a while there.
Well, if a personal foul gets called on your coaching staff or on your player, you want to know.
On who?
Who is it called on? And please tell me what happened, because the first thing you want to do as a mentor to young men is correct the problem. So what actually happened down there is they were going to throw 2 consecutive personal fouls, then after a discussion, I think a little reasoning set in, and one of them was a sideline warning or something like that.
Yeah, I was hearing that.
Yeah, so that's how that played out.
But the way, like you just said, you win 17-11, you have 100 and some yards and penalties, 5 turnovers, and you win. So that's as bad as it sounds, you say, well, I could have scored 4 more. Hey, you walked out of there with a W, and it keeps your team in the hunt. Now you're in the hunt. It's a big game. I know we're not getting into Toronto yet, but that keeps you in the hunt for Saturday.
Yeah, and look, it got to a point in the third quarter, when we were up 17-6. At that point in time, It's not about style points. It's not trying to put more points on the board. We had to win that football game, so things got rather conservative on our end offensively, but that was intentional.
I like the field goal because that makes it a two-possession game. And we don't see very many schools outside of maybe Indian Creek, who's kicked about 6 or 7 this year in Edison, of teams trying field goals. And even though it's kind of a, almost like an extra point, I think it was like 28 yards. It wasn't real far, but still it made it a two-possession football game to where they would have to score twice and, get extra points in order just to get back even with you. And I thought that was big because it didn't seem like anybody was really going to score a lot more points after that.
And our defense was playing well. Mm-hmm. So, outside of the one missed coverage on the long touchdown pass to Seacrest, I thought, by and large, we defended very, very well. So, we'll move the football on the ground. We'll change field position with the punts. We'll let our defense do the job, and we'll just get out of there with a win.
Held them to -6 on the ground net. So that's I don't care. I don't care if you're playing flag football. That's impressive when you can hold a team to even or under sea level, as I call it, because that's just winning the battle up front for one, and then not letting guys get away.
Right. Well, we did do a good job with their ground game. When you're playing a team with a receiver like that, you're hoping to put a little space in between you because one play can change the whole complexion of the football game, and it kind of did.
Yeah.
So, a game that we felt we were in control of, all of a sudden one big pass play, and all of a sudden the dynamic changes. They're at home. They're excited. They fought. Give them credit. They came ready to play.
Even they get that last touchdown, it was a 32-yard pass.
Right.
And so the two big pass plays, but they missed the extra points, the kick, and then a go for two. So still puts them down by a score. But after that amount of time, just getting the football, you guys, and running out clock and everything, it was impressive, especially on the ground. Even though you threw for 100 yards, on the ground game itself, running for about 170, averaging, you had 50 carries on the ground. And that's tough to do, in a high school game. So you were getting the yardage when you needed it most, getting the first downs, moving the change. You ended up with 11 first downs on the afternoon. So again, I thought we did some good things. There's some things we weren't pleased with. In all honesty, the mentality in the locker room after the game on the bus on the way home, we were all very thankful for the win. A win's a win. But you could feel it. The coaching staff, the kids, really weren't happy with the way we performed, and that's kind of pleasing in a sense to a coaching staff when the kids know they can play better. But the flip side of that is, a lot of coaches have a lot of reasons for their team not playing well, but a lot of times it has to do with the opponent doing some good things.
Right.
So give Madonna credit. They had a tough game the week before, and I think they had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to a certain degree, and they came out and they had something to prove, and it was impressive how they got their kids ready to play.
Well, it was like night and day between the game against Toronto that they played or didn't play, and then the game they played against you guys. They had a lot more inspired effort, and plus it's a rivalry. You're right across the river from each other. You play each other all the time, and they've had good teams over the years, as is Catholic Central. So a little more stake. They think that, right now they're in around 12th. I think they're going to make the playoffs. But for you guys, that's a big win. Get the points off of them and now put yourselves in a position. So there was a lot riding on this game for you guys.
Yes.
I think more so for them, and they came out on top. And that had it feel good, knowing that you're playing for something coming up.
Absolutely. We wanted to put in – you both asked me the question last week. I think it was Jason on the other side. But you never look past the game in front of you, but to say that we didn't talk as a team and the coach staff about giving ourselves a chance week 10 to get in would have been a lie. So, we're glad for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're just I use a baseball analogy I used to use with my kids in the summer. You're surviving to advance. You won a game, now you got another game. If you win that game, you get to advance again. You were a playoff game Saturday. People just didn't realize it. Yeah. You probably didn't tell your kids that, but that was a playoff game for Steubenville Central. If you don't win the game, you're not getting in.
And we have another one this Saturday.
That's going to be one heck of an atmosphere there Saturday night. I bet you it's going to be a pretty nice crowd, especially with Toronto coming in.
And it's got to feel good looking. The kids, I know everybody's looking at the papers like I am right now. Division 7, Region 25, you're playing Toronto, who is the number 3 team right now. And Wells was at 9, and then you guys have come in at number 12. That's the first time you guys have been this high and I probably think maybe all year. So to see your name coming up the boards as you get the wins and getting up there to where you're in the discussion now, that's going to feel good because all the work you're putting in through the year is finally showing. Not in wins and losses by how you're advancing up the ladder.
Yeah, we're thrilled to death, and our schedule was
daunting.
Early, it was challenging. It was challenging.
You got to talk to your athletic director about that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, and I've said this before, that Harrison game still stings. Because we thought we let that one get away. So it who knows where we'd be sitting if that, but doesn't matter. Didn't win.
Yeah. We're talking, Jags. We were talking about the playoffs here, and I was looking on my phone. It looks like if you win, pretty realistically, you're going to be in. I mean, because I'm looking at it, looks like Malvern plays a 8-1 team that are considered to lose, so they're out. You and the teams above them don't play. Nobody's going to get any points, and you're getting all kinds of points.
Well,
with a win, yeah.
That's what the experts are telling me.
Well, I'm not an expert.
So the experts are telling us.
I'm far from that, brother.
So when you after you talked to the team after the win, what was when you go in the locker room, your kids are tired or soaking wet and everything, but you got the win, which makes it nice. When you went in there to talk to them, what were the things you talking about after the win, with the possibility of looming ahead for you, or did that even come up?
Yeah, well, I think like I had mentioned just a minute ago, I think everybody was a little bit disappointed in how we played, but again, we were very thankful. With that being said, very thankful to give us a game week 10 that has meaning. So. Yeah. That's where our focus was. We're going to have to clean some things up, which we've been doing this week, and we're going to have to get prepared for, a football team that throws a lot of different stuff at you.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll get to that team here in just a moment. The Steubenville Catholic Central Coaches Show with head coach Tony Agresta is being brought to you by Bennigan's, where we're broadcasting live here every Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m., so we're going to take a time out. Bennigan's is the sponsor of the Crusader Coaches Show. We'll be back with the big task at hand coming up after these words.
A pioneer of casual dining, Bennigan's is internationally known for its unique neighborhood vibe and exceptional chef-driven food. Come to Bennigan's on University Boulevard to stir up a great memory. Come for happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. and get $1 off draft and bottled beer and $1 off signature cocktails. Grab some bar bites too, only $5 from 9 p.m. to close. Hey, are you a soccer fan? Check out the schedule of English Premier League soccer games. Bennigan's even has delivery service, and the number to call, 740-792-8080. You got a friend at Bennigan's. Thanks a lot for following us at Ohio Valley Sports Online. Why not visit our webpage at ohiovalleysportsonline.com. It's the way to go for sports fans around the globe to follow your favorite local sports teams.
Bennigan's live. Jim Huggins along with Billy Ellis and Dan Vogel. And joining us now is Crusader nose tackle Matt Orsay. And Matt, first of all, when people think of nose tackles, they think of short, stocky, heavy guys. You're none of that. How tall are you? What do you weigh?
I'm 6'4", 205 right now. Yeah. No, I know.
You got a tough job in there in the middle.
Yeah, it is.
Nobody
tough.
wants that job.
Tough.
How did you get stuck with that?
I don't know. I'm just, I'm one of the bigger guys on the team. And
just say it right. 6'4", 205.
Right. So, I mean, I just I go in and do my job. I work hard, and I'm able to, blow them back a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
we mentioned your name a lot on Saturday, and we can see the penetration you're getting, disrupting the running game, disrupting the passing game, and that's key because you got a guy back here that's throwing for 1,500 yards. You got a wide receiver who's one of, if not the best wide receiver in the Valley, and able really to kind of hold him down. But it all starts up front with you guys and your mates on either side of you. So what did you see either in film or what Coach Agresta was teaching you during the week, or what they were showing in the game that were allowing you guys to get such good penetration?
Well, mainly just staying low and firing out hard, making sure I stay at heels depth and I plug up the gaps, like both A gaps, making sure nobody gets in past me. But then if I see if he's open, I'm going to take him. So putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but just staying low, firing out, and hitting him hard.
That's kind of a thankless job being a nose tackle. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
it
sitting there,
is.
you're getting beat up, and you're getting maybe single, double teamed the whole game. And you know what hurts? Nobody's watching you.
They're watching the middle linebacker.
They're watching the middle linebacker. They're watching the offensive guy and stuff. Nobody's paying attention to that interior defense line until you make a play,
Right. No.
and then people notice. So I mean, it's kind of a thankless job, but at the same time, it's an opportunity to change the game around. You know, by what you guys
Right,
do
for
inside,
sure.
and you guys played a really good game.
For sure. No, and I'm really happy that our middle linebacker gets the attention because he deserves it. He's one of the hardest working guys on the team. He hits probably the hardest. He's pretty incredible. So I'm honestly honored to just be part of the big picture. Part of just the big team and the general effort.
So what's been the most fun thing for you this year in these first 9 games as to what you've been able to accomplish defensively? What do you like doing best? I mean, you like rushing the passer, you like sacking, you like tearing up a guy in front of you. What's the fun things, I guess, about nose tackle?
I would say honestly, just hitting, firing out hard, and seeing how badly I can blow him back, and just really putting in a strong effort. It feels really really rewarding, and definitely when I can make a tackle, it's awesome. I mean, it's no better feeling for a nose tackle. It's awesome. So I would say that's probably the most fun thing. It's just
cool.
Trying to make like a hard effort, and when it pays off.
Yeah, I understand. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on here today. I know
Thanks.
Coach like to bring a guy, and we love to meet new kids and see how they do. And we appreciate you stopping by and having a great season, a great game the other day. Congratulations, and
thanks.
Hopefully, you have
Appreciate
another one on Friday or Saturday night.
Absolutely.
Good luck to you
All
Saturday.
right.
Thank you.
That's Matt Orsay, the nose tackle for the Crusaders. Who we got coming up next?
Looks like a Mort.
What's his name?
Connor
All right,
Mort.
all right.
That's a baseball player, brother.
All right.
I know them
Well,
guys.
always the Morts are. So, and meanwhile, while we exchange these two guys and tell you what's going on at Bennigan's, Halloween night specials tomorrow night from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Shelly Duff will be performing live here tomorrow night from 8 to 11. Come dressed up for a Bennigan's Halloween bash, or just come anyways. Come dressed up like your favorite character. $12 Great Lakes Nosferatus, 5 12-ounce bottles that I'm not going to get that name right no matter how many times I say it. $2 PBR drafts, $3 domestic drafts, Miller Lite, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, Blue Moon, $3 Manager's Craft Special with a Purple Haze Raspberry Lager draft, $4 Guinness drafts, $4 Jack Daniels, Bacardi, Smirnoff, $5 bar appetizer. So we're talking with Connor Moore of the Crusaders. Connor, are you dressing up for Halloween?
Oh, I don't think so this year.
No. I'm just going. Hey, I'm just going this year the same as every year, as just being awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us, since you're new to here, what position you play?
Tight end.
All right.
And D tackle.
Nice.
Yeah.
How big are you?
About 6'1", 210 right
So
now.
you're bigger than your dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
By a long shot. Wow. Well, that's good. Hey, the game against Madonna, let's talk from the defensive side first, because the defensive tackle you're playing somewhere around where Matt Orsay is, and you guys are able to pin your ears back and stuff like that. What do you like best about playing on a defensive line for you guys?
I just like plugging the holes and just stopping the opposition when they're trying to get through. Just feels good.
But there's no glory to that. There's no, interceptions and fumble recovery. You might have some shots of fumble recovery, but that's a thankless job. But it takes a special kid or special player to do that, because you don't get the recognition as the other guys do. So that's kind of hard to take. But, did you pound your guy from Madonna on Saturday? Did you dominate him all game? Yes. They're supposed to say yes, right? All right. What do you like about tight end?
I just like opening up the holes, seeing the running back go through them. Just feels good.
You ever come back to the sideline and say, "Coach, throw me the ball"?
I wish.
Throw me be like Keyshawn Johnson. Throw me the damn ball. Yeah, there aren't too many completions to the tight end this year. Do you have any catches this year?
Nope.
Oh my! We got to talk to Coach about that for the Toronto game. Throw to your tight end. What do you like about this team in general? What do you like about Coach Agresta?
I just like it's just a tight knit group of guys, and we just work so hard.
Yeah.
Just all towards the same goal.
I got one question. This is from Jason Jenkins. He's texting me now. He wants to know. He wants to know: has your Uncle Jim ever told you about the time Jason throwing him out from center field in Babe Ruth at first base?
I'm sure. Yes, I've heard that story plenty of times. Actually.
Okay, I was just checking. I just wanted to make sure I got the text. I just had to ask.
Or as an umpire, calling him out at first in church softball too. Right. So you got one more game left. So what have you guys been doing this week to get ready for Toronto?
We're just just telling the young guys and everybody else, just do what you're coached to do. Don't make the game too big, even though you have to know it's a big game, but just play like every other game.
A lot's at stake. It can be hard to stop thinking about the possibility, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, hopefully you have a good game on Saturday. We'll be watching for you and make sure we give you some mentions on the air. So thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we're going to talk with head coach Tony Agresta. We can get him back over here to talk about the Toronto Red Knights coming up here. So, Billy, looking at these different regions and stuff. In Division III, Region 9, we have New Philadelphia, Steubenville, and Dover still alive. In Division 4, or actually in Zanesville back in Region 11 within an hour or so. Division 4, Region 13, Indian Creek at the number 2 spot. Region 15, Indian Valley, the team that beat Indian Creek's in second. St. Clair's won 6th position right now, and Cambridge in 9th. So we're still well represented around the valley.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of teams. I was looking at it today, Jags, once he told me he had a photo shoot to do, and I had to come here, so I was trying to get all the information. So I knew what I was talking about a little bit. Getting to Region 9, I think if Dover wins, even if Dover loses, Dover's still going to finish 8th. And then I checked on Steubenville Central just to see where they were going to be, and it looks like to me, if I'm doing the calculations right, they win, they're in. They're at the A spot, you know.
Well, we welcome back Coach Agresta. Coach Toronto's on the agenda coming up here. Their coach will be joining us here in a little bit. But, this is a team that's sitting in their number 3 spot in Division 7, Region 25, in the same region as you are. And an opportunity here to switch, maybe knock them down a little bit, move you guys up into the playoffs. But we know Toronto's always a good matchup. It's good to see you guys playing them again. They were off the schedule for a while. But what can you tell us about the Red Knights?
Look, they're well coached. They give you a whole lot to look at offensively. Your kids are going to have to be prepared. They're going to have to know how to get aligned. And you know what? They play a physical type of football game on the ground just the same way we like to. So really respect everything that Coach is doing over there. And, boy, the last few weeks they've gone through the ringer too. So to continue to play good football with a lot of different things going on, that's pretty impressive.
Have you ever had a situation like that happen in all your years of coaching of losing a kid during the season?
We've had the sad occurrence of losing a player to after they had graduated, but it was never during the season.
Yeah, that's tough.
Thank the good Lord. Yeah.
And now with you heading to them, so offensively, you want to play ball control. Obviously, they score a lot of points, and you don't want to give up a lot of points. So, playing ball control as you come out, of the tunnel. And, what are you going to be telling the kids of what's in front of them coming up?
Well, look, they play a ball control type of game, but they'll take some shots too. So they're the kind of football team. It might be 3rd and 1, but they might let one fly and. So you have to be ready for just about anything. So they're very well balanced, and we've kind of stressed that this week. But the biggest thing is, and I've heard Coach talk about this. They'll throw all kinds of formations at you. They'll give you some movement, motion, shift people around. Very critical that our kids recognize what's in front of them and get lined up defensively.
Yeah.
I know Jags was talking about it earlier. How did we get this game back on the schedule? It's been a while since these two teams have played football.
I know you told me I needed to talk to the AD about the schedule earlier. So no, I think in all seriousness, I think it's great that you have these crosstown things going on, and everybody keeps mentioning to me that I have a rivalry game. It seems like every other week I have a rivalry game.
For you, every game's a rivalry because you're new, right?
Right.
Pretty nice how we put the 2 helmets up here too. That looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
Let's talk about now. You're entrenched now with Lefevre quarterback. He's got a couple of games under his belt now. Excuse me. I'm sure that's going to help him going into Toronto. He looked more comfortable on Saturday. Throwing the ball, he completed 6 out of 10 for 60 yards, a couple of touchdowns there. So you took a couple shots downfield there, 20-yard touchdown pass, and then what was the other one? I can't remember. You had a 5-yard pass at the beginning of the game. So he's obviously a little more comfortable, and that's got to help you going into Saturday.
Yeah, and we were trying to make sure with the weather situation the way it was and the game as close as it was that we weren't going to do anything unnecessary. But there were some situations where he was called upon to make some throws, and he did a really nice job.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the halfback pass. A little wrinkle there. I like the wrinkles. And it could have been a touchdown pass. So coming into a game like this at the end of the year, I mean, it's different when you try them in the first few weeks or so. But when you get into a game like this Saturday coming up, that's as important as it is for you and for them. Do you see some things that maybe, hey, we might be able to catch them this and try a halfback pass or a reverse or something like that? Or are you pretty much going to kind of stick to what you've been using all year?
Look, there's no sense changing who you are in Week 10. So we're going to be who we are. But I will tell you this. They have a history of doing some unique things. So our focus this week in practice hasn't necessarily been, what we might do that way. It's making sure that we understand that there's a good chance that they're going to do something
that you
like
recognize
that.
that, right?
Yeah, they'll, they've done some unique things off of a punt formation and, reverses and different things like that offensively. So they've got a few tricks in their bag as well.
They're probably, I think it's safe to say they're more comfortable throwing the football at this point of the season than you are because you have a new quarterback in there. So a team that is balanced like them, they can run the ball with Dozier and Savage. They can throw the ball. They got a couple good receivers in Matches and with Stackhouse, and their quarterback can also take up. So Caleb Lazier, 1,300 yards this year, 17 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. How do you go about with that balancing act of their running and their passing when defensively, when you're planning and you're scheming and watching during the game as to what you're going to do?
Well, any team that's balanced like that, you have to get them in situations where they don't necessarily have as many options to do either or. Second and shorts aren't good.
Right.
First down's going to be big. Early downs are going to be big. But like I said, they're apt to do anything at any time. But I think first down is going to be critical for us. This coming weekend.
I don't have a question. I know you're going to get off. I just want to say, I know you came in here at hard times, picking up where you got into Steubenville Central today. I mean, this year, you're 10 games into the season. I just want to say you handled it with class. You were always easy going with us. We really appreciate it. I just want to tell you, welcome to our town. It's been a blast all year, and hopefully we can keep you around here for 10 to 15 years.
Look, I'd love to stay, and I will say this. The likes of you and Jason and everybody affiliated with
including Dan.
Yeah, especially Dan. Especially Dan. But you have made the transition for me and my family much easier. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank you for that very much.
We look forward to many more years of doing this with you. So hopefully
you
get to stick around, and we appreciate the time. And good luck on Saturday. It's going to be a tough one. Hopefully have a huge crowd on hand to try and wheel you on the win. And hopefully we're talking again next Saturday, next Wednesday.
Amen.
So,
if you need any help on Saturday, I'll be right next to you again.
Right.
Yeah.
You were yelling at me last time I was down there.
Was I?
You were yelling at me, if I do a play like that again, slap me.
Well, Billy will keep you there to keep you away from the referee.
I'll keep you away from the referee. I'll be your get-back coach.
All right. There you go. All right, the head coach, Tony Aggress of the Crusaders. Let's take a timeout. We'll be back with head coach Josh Franke of the Toronto Red Knights, who, oh, by the way, are playing the Crusaders on Saturday night after these messages.
The J.E. Foster Funeral Home has been proudly serving the communities of Toronto and Smithfield and all of Jefferson County for over 30 years. They are a family-owned funeral home, and they offer funeral and cremation services tailored to meet your needs, and they do so with professionalism, compassion, dignity, and respect. Jeff and Jay Foster would like to wish the best of luck to Toronto Red Knights and all of the teams up and down the Ohio Valley. If you or someone you know would like more information on how their family can help you guide your family in this time of need, please visit their website, www.jefosterfh.com. That is www.jefosterfh.com. Their motto, our emphasis on family carries over to yours. J.E. Foster Funeral Home, a proud sponsor of the Coaches Show.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Oh.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out on basketball.
That's like
He's eager to
I was
play.
talking to my sister-in-law
And
while we were playing
you
cards.
can see the difference in his game.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Want to become a sponsor of this online sports broadcast? It's easy. Look us up on Facebook under Ohio Valley Sports Online. Drop us a message right on our wall or shoot us an email. More bang for your buck. Why? Because it's not radio. It's an online internet sports broadcast with unlimited and endless potential for you. Why settle for less when you can advertise with the best? Ohio Valley Sports Online. Thanks, J.E. Foster Funeral Home, for sponsoring Toronto Red Knights head football coach Josh Franke on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Bennigan's. It is the top of the hour, 7 o'clock, so it's time for Toronto High School football with head coach Josh Franke of the Red Knights. And, Coach, hey, by the way, before we even get started, I brought the stats
look at
tonight.
you. Look at that.
He got on me last week. I didn't have it.
I know. I take a gander every week.
I was ill-prepared, but I got him this week. And, beat Barnesville last week, 34-20. Tough circumstances. We know what happened with your player and everything. So when you went into that game on Friday night, I mean, I saw pictures in the paper of carrying his jersey out and everything like that. That's plus it's your last home game.
Right.
A lot of things so wrapped up into one, but yet you guys were able to focus and come out with a victory on it.
Yeah, really proud of the guys. I told them, that's one of the hardest things, hardest conditions you're ever going to have to play a football game under. I mean, we're talking a 2-day turnaround, and you got to credit the Toronto community and the students and the administration and the people of the town, because you get through that kind of stuff together. That's something you get through together, and I don't know if our kids would have been prepared, without the help of everybody that was involved trying to get over it.
Yeah. In the first drive you come down and score, and I'm sure that's got to be a good feeling that the kids responded after all that emotion and everything, to come down, focus on football, get down there, get points on the board, and just have it become a football game again.
Yeah, and honestly, that drive, that one single drive had a ton of adversity in and itself. We had, it was 2 or 3 fourth down conversions. Wow. I mean,
fake punt too.
Right, we had fake punt. We had fake punt, and that's got to overcome that kind of stuff. Winning teams overcome those tough situations, and it's like I told our kids. I said, you guys have learned more about the game of life this year, overcoming a lot of adversity that's come with our team, and it's symbolic of what football's like. You have ups and downs, and bad things happen, good things happen. You have to be able to, sometimes just put your head down, push through it, and that was kind of the message we had Friday night.
Take us through that. In that first drive, you said there were 2 fourth down conversions, I believe, 2 fake punts.
One
fake punt. And I think you gained 13 or 14 yards on one of it. What was the mindset that meant, this is what we're going to do first drive of the game? Not once, but twice go for it on fourth down and the fake punt.
The first fourth down, we went for it. We only needed a couple yards. It was like 2 or 3 yards. The fake punt actually came on 4th and 10.
Gutsy.
Honestly, it's hard to explain. I go with feelings. I go with gut feelings in games, and I knew we were right around like the 50, and I just had a gut feeling, and we work a different fake punt every single week. And the kid, honestly, that's like one of the things the kids look the most forward to in practice is what the fake punt's going to be this week and who it's going to involve, and
who gets the honor.
Yeah,
right?
they look forward to that, and we practice it all week, and it's one of those things. Why are you going to practice it if you're not going to do it? So, I think football's supposed to be fun, and those are the types of things that kids have fun doing. It's not like you just running your traditional stuff all the time. Kids want to have fun, and we practice that kind of fake situation. And during that time of the game, it was like, all right, we practiced it. It looked good, and I just had this gut feeling that was the right time. It was 4th and 10. They weren't going to be expecting a fake punt, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of getting a reputation for I could go for it on fourth down anywhere on the field. And I guess that's not a bad reputation to have because it always keeps you on your heels, I guess. So.
Well, plus it shows confidence in your team that you think that, especially on a 4th and 10, 4th and 2, crapshoot. But 4th and 10, you're going, hey, fellas, we're going for it. And that's got to fire the kids up because, it's 4th and 10. I mean, our coach believes in us so much that we're going to go for it on 4th down and 10 instead of punting the ball away.
I tell you, some of my coaches on staff, I'm going to end up giving them a heart attack because if you can hear them on the headsets when I declare that we're going to run that or we're going to do a trick play or something, it's pretty chaotic on the headsets when that comes up, but it's fun.
I would love to hear that conversation.
But you're the voice that ends it all, right? So it's your decision. Hey, let's talk about offensively. You did a nice job, 34 points in the ball game, jumped out to a 15-0 lead early in the first quarter, and that has to make things a little bit easier. Even though Barnesville had been reeling, losing some players and stuff, but still, I mean, that really is an important game. As you get down these last couple of games, it's important to go out with wins, and you did that. And plus with senior night and everything else going on there, and it's just a swirl of things going on in your final home game added into that. It had to feel good to get out early and have a lead to where not to where you could relax, but the fact that you're playing from ahead instead of from behind.
And it's very different when you're ahead by 15 points. You can kind of. You can afford to have some mistakes happen. You know what I mean? Or you can afford – I hate to say I'm always aggressive, so I'd hate to say that you're not aggressive. But, you don't have to be as aggressive. You don't have to make those gut check calls sometimes that are hard to make. And, it was great, honestly, to get out to an early lead like that and just kind of – you never feel like the game's won, obviously. It was 15 on the halftime. We didn't feel like the game was won, but we felt comfortable with what we were doing. Our kids gained some confidence, and we've talked before, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, confidence can do a lot of good for you, and lack of confidence can do a lot of bad for you. So,
plus your defense stepped up. They had 2 drives inside your 5, fumbled away both times, so a couple of turnovers there, and you had 9 turnovers all together in the game between the combined. So, that was but it was lousy out. It was raining. It was, all that kind of stuff that goes into it. We talked with Crusader head coach Tony Aggressa, and they coughed it up 4 or 5 times on Saturday when it was raining. But, it's just that, they're able to turn them away, which still kept a shutout going at halftime. And when you look back at that, I mean, your defense really stepped up in a time when they needed to there.
Honestly, our defense has been the cornerstone of our football program. The offense has played well, but, the offense has not played mistake-free. But, and I think as an offensive guy and as our offensive players look at it, if we fumble or Caleb throws an interception or something, they almost come off the sideline thinking to themselves, "It's going to be okay because our defense is going to stop them. All right, we're going to get the ball back. Our defense is going to let them score." And it makes those things die a little easier. You accept it a little easier, knowing that you have a good defense that can get your back, and that's what great teams have. Listen, I make no bones about it. Our defense is something we're really proud of at Toronto, and I think they're really good. And they're the foundation of our football program.
One thing I liked, excuse me, the different ways you scored. Speaking of Caleb and the offense, the way you guys did it. I'm used to Dozier running it in or Savage running it in, but I think. My man Zach Berger had a touchdown catch, and then Brendan Matches had a couple, didn't he?
Right, yeah. So, early on in the first half, I'm not going to lie to you, Barnesville did a really good job containing our run game. I mean, we weren't getting many yards on the ground, and it forced us to go to the air, and even that first score, it was actually Dozier who threw it to Berger. So Dozier has a touchdown pass out, but the Matches stepped up. He scored twice on receptions, and it wasn't until the second half that Dozier and Savage got going in the run game. Again, we've talked about that. I like that our team isn't a one-trick pony. It's we can do multiple things. If you shut down one aspect, we can go to the other attack and still be successful. And I think it's important. Teams cannot plan they got to choose. Are you gonna
Right.
you gonna stop the passing attack, or are you gonna stop the rushing attack? And it's going to be hard for you to do both.
It seems like Leisure is really, toward this end of the season, really stepping up with the 2 touchdown passes. He threw for 60 yards, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, something like
190, 178 actually,
There you
with a
go.
couple of scores and a couple of interceptions. But you sent us a stat here earlier this week that I thought was fascinating. Didn't have no idea about this, that if Leisure gets 177 yards or so this week against Catholic Central, he'll break the season passing
Right.
record. And also, if he gets 2 more touchdowns, that will give him, 19 on the season to
Yeah.
set a team record also. So
Yeah. So-
that's something he's got to – I'm sure he knows about that, and I'm sure he's looking forward to trying to break that within the scheme of your game.
Right. So this is a little story about Caleb Leisure, and just to tell you how much of a football kid he is, a football nerd, I guess, and how much he's put in work to reach some of his goals. We're doing record boards at Toronto. They're going to be displayed in our main hallway right outside the gymnasium, and I had to collect all the football records because they were kind of just, just all over the place, like you had to gather them all in. So we looked for them, and I found them in January. And as soon as I found him, he asked me what all the passing records were, and he has them logged into his notes on his phone. For a long time, he had it as the lock screen on his phone.
Yeah.
And every week, he has the total, what he needs, and then he has his current total, and he keeps track of that every week.
Nice.
And that is something that he's planned to do. He has vocally said that he is going to do it, and it's something that he's really worked hard to try and achieve. So it's just. I know it's a big goal for him, and I'm happy that he's so close. And obviously we got at minimum 2 games left, so I think both of those records are definitely attainable for him. So he's been working his butt off in the off season. It's good to see kids work hard and get reach the goals that they want for themselves.
That's hard to believe that the record has stood since 2002, 17 years ago.
Right.
For touchdown pass. In today's game, how wide open it is, and throwing for yardage and stuff that you haven't had anybody since that time, even with Graffa. But
right.
Heard part of that.
And it was Michael Parris, and it just so happens that I was a receiver on the team. Michael Parris, when he broke
you
the
helped
record.
him. Did you help him?
I not as much as some other people, but I helped a little bit, I guess. But
my man Jeff Wilson, the legend Jeff Wilson, on that leaderboard anywhere?
I don't know if he is.
Up here he is.
There he is. Yeah. But yeah, so no, I think Michael Parris is actually going to be on hand at the game Saturday in case he were to get either of those. And I was giving Parris a little bit of a hard time. I said, yeah, I came back, man. I wanted to make sure that another quarterback finally broke your record. It's fun to give him a hard time, So.
That's pretty good. So we are at the halfway point. Let's take a time out. The Toronto Coaches Show with head coach Josh Franke on Ohio Valley Sports Online, live at Bennigan's, is sponsored by J.E. Foster Funeral Home. Let's take a time out. We'll be back with this week's game against the Crusaders after these words.
Let's see what you got here. Where are we at? Team defense.
The J.E. Foster Funeral Home has been proudly serving the communities of Toronto and Smithfield and all of Jefferson County for over 30 years. They are a family-owned funeral home, and they offer funeral and cremation services tailored to meet your needs, and they do so with professionalism, compassion, dignity, and respect. Jeff and Jay Foster would like to wish the best of luck to Toronto Red Knights and all of the teams up and down the Ohio Valley. If you or someone you know would like more information on how their family can help you guide your family in this time of need, please visit their website, www.jefosterfh.com. That is www.jefosterfh.com. Their motto, our emphasis on family carries over to yours. J.E. Foster Funeral Home, a proud sponsor of the Coaches Show.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Oh.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out on basketball. He's eager to play, and you can see the difference in his game.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Thanks, J.E. Foster Funeral Home, for sponsoring Toronto Red Knights head football coach Josh Frankie on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
And welcome back to Bennigan's, everyone, on Ohio Valley Sports Online, broadcasting live each and every Wednesday during the football season from Bennigan's. Nice crowd on hand again tonight. A lot of people come in during the show to eat and have a few drinks and watch the show. And Dan puts us all, don't forget, it's on YouTube every week, too. So you can catch us a variety of ways on Ohio Valley Sports Online. Catch us on www.OhioValleySportsOnline.com. That's our website. Also on Facebook. You can catch us on our Mix LR app, so all kind of places. So, all right, everything's out of the way, Coach. We go into Week 10. I mean, you've already clinched the playoff spot. Have you clinched the home field advantage?
Not yet.
Okay, so you're in regardless.
Right.
But now an opportunity in front of you to twofold. I mean, you get, number one, get a home game, and
Right.
number two, knock a team out of the playoffs. Crusaders sitting in the number 12 spot coming into this thing, and they need a win to get in.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot going on. It's on both sides of this game. So when you look at the Crusaders, you've had a chance to scout them. They've changed a little bit over the last couple of weeks, getting a new quarterback and everything. So what have you been able to see about the Crusaders that you can talk about?
They offensively, they pose some unique challenges. They'll go an unbalanced line with empty set, single, quarterback back there by himself, unbalanced line. It poses a challenge to you because you kind of have to, as a defense, you have to decide, are you going to play coverage or are you going to try and protect the additional gap that they're putting up there with that additional lineman. So, it's a unique challenge. It's something that our defense is going to have to be ready for. But, I have faith in our defense. They since their quarterback's gone down, they're a little heavier run, obviously. And, Lefevre's he's a heck of an athlete, and Dawson's a good athlete. So they're going to put those guys back there, try to get them in space and allow them to make plays. And but I think a strength of our defense is open field tackling. So, I think it's going to create a really good matchup, really good game to see. And defensively, we fully expect that they're going to bring pressure. It's no secret to anybody that our offense, we turn the ball over a little bit, and it's kind of being Achilles heel for us. And, they're going to get turnovers based off of trying to make us rush things or get into a panic. And so we fully expect them to bring heavy blitz. And, we're planning for that, trying to get our guys ready for that. But, I think it's going to be a really good game. This is a rivalry game. For me, when you talk about Toronto Red Knight football, and you ask me who's your rival, for me it's Catholic Central, and it's
they haven't played in a while.
They see, and a lot of people have said that, and they have, but it's not been Week 10 like it traditionally was.
Yeah.
Like back when I was playing, it was always Week 10, and it always had playoff implications. It seemed like, and that's what made it such a huge rivalry. So. Honestly, we educated our kids a lot this week about what the rivalry meant and some of the history behind the rivalry. We actually have a coach on our staff that was from Catholic Central, so we got to see, like, from the other side of the fence what their thoughts are on Toronto and how their kids think of us. And honestly, it's like we've told those kids, it's a rivalry game. You're going to get everything that they have. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at you because they have to win this game to get in the playoffs. And if you let them beat you, you're giving up home field advantage. Right. So are you satisfied with being in the playoffs? Is that all you've wanted to accomplish? And they've all, no, we want a home playoff game. That was the goal from the end of last year. So it's like, okay, now your rival stands in your way from getting that home game. It's their senior night. They're going to bring everything that they have. It's going to be a 4-quarter, 12-round fight. And you better be ready to roll.
Yeah, and it's going to be electric. I mean, sort of stole a little bit of thunder I was getting ready to talk about. These kids know each other.
Right.
They play baseball with and against each other. They played. They've grown up, and I'm sure it's electric. It's like you said, last week was a playoff game. This is basically another playoff game, a pre-playoff game that I'm sure that the kids are fired up for.
They are, and it's it's going to be exciting. This was this is like Ohio State, Michigan, and if you're from Toronto, this is the big one, and and I think that dates back to when, if you guys remember correctly, we had St. Francis School in Toronto, and you played Toronto Titan football with a lot of the kids that went to St. Francis,
right?
And you went to the elementary school in Toronto, the public elementary school in Toronto, and you grew up playing on the same football team, and then when you hit high school, those St. Francis kids went off and went to Steubenville Catholic Central, and you went off and you went to, Toronto High School, and now all of the kids that you grew up playing Titans with, half of them are now playing for Central, and it added to the rivalry, and I think that has a little bit of what to do with it, how it died out, but there's not a whole lot's changed. It's a big game. It's always going to be a big game, and I'm happy it's back at Week 10 because it makes it even bigger game.
We got the helmets up here tonight to check it out. I see you guys today. Are you getting new uniforms for playoffs?
Yeah, so
nice.
Kind of a new tradition we're starting at Toronto. Toronto. This team is only the 8th team to make the playoffs in Toronto history. And we're hoping it's only the 2nd team to host home playoff games. So it's special. So we wanted to do something, I guess, try to create like an incentive almost for kids that do make the playoffs. But they have their names on the back of their jerseys, and it says denotes Division 7 2019 Ohio State playoffs, and they'll play in those jerseys, but at the end of the year banquet, we'll also present them with their jersey, and, and they'll get to keep that. And hopefully this is something we can continue to do. We plan to continue to do it, and kind of, again, gives those kids a little bit more incentive to maybe work a little bit harder, try to get to the playoffs, and get your jersey.
The Crusaders are coming in here with a new quarterback for the last couple of games, and they're not a high-scoring team. So as a coach, I'm thinking, we talked with Coach, they're not going to go toe-to-toe with you and try and outscore you. Basically, it's going to be ball control. So they want to grind out. They had a 10.5-minute drive against Madonna, open up the game last Saturday, and I was like, oh, my God, is this ever going to end? And, it finally did with a touchdown. But that's what they're going to want to do to you is shorten the game, I guess, and keep themselves in. It's like, I like to compare it to like Buster Douglas fighting Mike Tyson. The longer he stuck around, the more confident he got. And that's with them because they're not a high-scoring team. So as they try to control the ball on you with their running game, short passes, what do you guys look to do defensively in order to take them out of that and get them more into what you guys want to do?
Honestly, our front three, sometimes front four, depending on what front we're in at the time, our front three are as fast as anybody. Again, we talked about it. Our defense is comprised. Our defensive linemen are linebackers, and our linebackers are basically safeties, and our corners are wide receivers. So it's we try to get as much speed out there as possible, and we try to utilize that speed to hurt other teams. And sometimes you get some of those bigger offensive linemen out there, and you get a kid that like B.J. Pearson's 170 pounds, but he's like one of those junkyard dogs. He's tough to handle. He's aggressive. He has a motor. He's go. And he causes some problems for some of those big guys. So we're just going to dial up that pressure, bring the pressure with our speed. And Barnesville tried to control the clock as well. I think in the second quarter they had about an 8-minute drive on us, and they ended up not scoring. So as the field shrinks, I think our defense gets better. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of offensive teams, sometimes ourselves included, we struggle when the field shrinks and you kind of get everybody congested, and then it comes down to some strength almost. Right. It's and we've had some goal line stands this year, and again, defense is something we're going to hang our hats on. So they're going to try to control the clock on us. A lot of teams have tried to control the clock on us, and that's fine. We expect that to happen, but when we get on offense, it's we're turning it up. We got a lot of weapons. We like to use our weapons, and we're going to attack. I mean, we are an attacking team, whether it's defensively or offensively. We're going to go attack mode, and it's going to be attack mode for 4 quarters.
Yes, Coach Kramer. Going back to the Madonna game when I interviewed him, I won't forget. He said I have never seen watching Toronto a team with as many sets
right
as they have, and I fully expect you guys to come out, and throw that at them when you're on the offensive side of the ball again.
And that's we have. I'm trying to think off my top of my head here because we just put 2 more in. I think we have 12 different personnel groupings where we could have different types of skill players out on the field at any given time, and we try to use those. We try to use formations because, we think defensively. If you have to stop and make a defense think, am I lined up right? What plays do they run out of this formation? And you start making them think, it slows them down.
Yeah.
But also, sooner or later, a 16, 17-year-old boy is going to make a mistake. He's going to miss a line.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's when we feel like we're going to get you. When you make a mistake or you line up wrong, we're trying to execute off of your mishaps.
Right. Hey, let's best case scenario. I mean, going into the game on Saturday night, what is it that you think will be a major key as far as you guys winning that football game? What do you think has to happen on your side?
Defensively, we have to stop their. I call it their wild. We've been calling it their wildcat. Right. It's really not. I mean, Lefevre sometimes in formations that we coin as a wildcat formation. But
let me ask you, stop right there with the wildcat with Dawson. Mm-hmm. Dawson never throws the ball. So when he goes into the wildcat, do you say, hey, everybody, guess what? Here comes a run. I mean, you're going to commit more guys to that?
Not this week. Honestly, this week we've already warned our kids, like, guys, you're going to probably getting halfback passes. You're probably getting reverses. You might get hook and ladder. I mean, they're going to – things that they don't normally do, I think we're going to see them do. Like, they might have been back pocketing Jeffrey Dawson throwing a football. So we're trying not to pay too much attention to, the scouting that we have and all of that. We're looking more, play your assignment. And at the same time, let's not overcoach ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, let's put our defense out there, let them play. But the mobile quarterback is something that we definitely have to take their mobile quarterbacks out of the game. If we can stop them from running the football with their quarterbacks and force them to get in an I formation, run downhill, or force them to throw the ball, I think we're in pretty good shape. On the flip side, we just have to execute offensively. Offensively, the only team that's going to stop us is ourselves. And whether that's a holding call or missed block or interception or fumble, a lot of times our offense, when we do get stopped, we stop ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Through a turnover or penalties. It's tough to come by a defense that does a really good job of containing our offense to the point where we can't score touchdowns.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. It's been the fastest 10 weeks. I mean,
right? I know.
We got this last game of the season on the road, and then playoffs next week. So we'll be back here again next Wednesday with you, regardless of what happens on Saturday night. So we appreciate the time and good luck on Saturday. We'll be there.
Thank you.
These guys will be talking to you on the sideline and everything. We appreciate the time as always.
Thanks, man.
All right, Coach.
Have a good one.
Head
We'll
Coach
see you guys.
Josh Frankie of the Toronto Red Knights. Let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk with Indian Creek head coach Andrew Connor about his team's win and their upcoming playoff appearance after these words.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bove ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
Want to become a sponsor of this online sports broadcast? It's easy. Look us up on Facebook under Ohio Valley Sports Online. Drop us a message right on our wall or shoot us an email. More bang for your buck. Why? Because it's not radio. It's an online internet sports broadcast with unlimited and endless potential for you. Why settle for less when you can advertise with the best? Ohio Valley Sports Online.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Oh.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out on basketball. He's eager to play, and you can see the difference in his game.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
This is Jerry Snodgrass, Executive Director of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. One of my long-standing goals is to help people understand that high school sports are about so much more than wins and losses. The OHSAA promotes education-based athletics, where sports are an extension of the classroom. Our schools all want to win. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it's all about sportsmanship, leadership, and making certain that academics are a priority. Thank you for your support of high school sports in Ohio.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bove ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
Are we back, Dan? Okay, thanks. Welcome back, everyone, to Bennigan's on Ohio. I had to go. I was like, what a slob. I'm spilling stuff all over my clothes. So, welcome back to the show. Talking with Indian Creek head coach Andrew Connor, who's gracious enough. And Coach Agresta, they switched spots. You had a nice dinner, huh? How was it?
I did. Good steaks. I mean, the dads and the moms, they outdid themselves. It was.
Did you bring any for
yes.
Your dad. Come on.
Yeah. A restaurant. I can't bring food in. I think they frown on that.
I can take it home with me.
They frown on that, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to get myself in trouble now. I mean.
But, hey, congratulations. Creek wins 35-7. Early going, tied up 7, but then 28 unanswered. What happened from that point forward where you got tied and then pulled away?
I think it's been the way we've played the last couple of weeks. Our offensive line's kind of asserted themselves as time's gone on, and we're very fortunate with the running back we have in Trevor Fonte that he doesn't need a big hole to get through, and he makes people miss in that second and third level. And I think defensively, we gave up the one score. We were able to make some big plays. They had one other drive where they drove down, and Clay Cottis got an interception for us down the goal line, and basically that was the last time they threatened us, and we were able to pull away from there.
We've seen Kobe Mitchell before. We saw him against Catholic Central, and he's had some big games. Came back and beat St. Clairsville in their signature game and beat Catholic Central and then go in there. But you guys were able to hold him down throughout the whole ball game. What was the key to stopping him? Because as he goes, so goes their team.
Well, I think, the game plan itself, we sat down and said, we couldn't let him do one. We couldn't just give him one look. We had to do a lot of different things to kind of, keep him kind of guessing. And so, a lot of times we'd come after him, and then we'd kind of, go play zone, and then sometimes we'd zone blitz, and then sometimes, we'd send the house. And I think, as the game went on, we started getting more and more hits on him, and maybe that rushed him a little bit on his throws, and I think it kind of got him out of rhythm. I don't think he ever felt like he was in rhythm.
Right.
And I think that was an important part of what we wanted to do game plan-wise.
Listen, with that atmosphere, you hate to talk about it, but I know the kids. Another incentive was they know, they see social media. They said we win this game, we're almost guaranteed a home playoff spot. That had to play a factor into.
Well, and the other thing is too. I think at this stage in the game, you could be honest with your kids. I mean, there was no. We told the kids. I mean, you control your own destiny here. I mean, you go out, you execute, you play well, you do your job. You got a shot to play at home, and you go back to the playoffs started in 1972. And you look at it right now, we've been a school district for 48 years, at no point in all the great teams Mingo had, all the great teams Wintersville had, that either one of those schools or, in the 6 times we've been in the state playoffs, have we hosted a football game. So, for the first time ever in school district and school history, we got an opportunity to do something nobody else did, and we told the kids that's special. You want to talk and tell your kids about something, that's a special thing to say that you were the first team ever to host a state playoff game. And I think that was enough as an incentive and motivation to make them play pretty well.
And also, you're ranked. You moved up, I think, a couple of spots to 8th. I think it is in the AP poll. So is that the first time that any Creek's been ranked in the state? Do you know?
This is our 4th time. Back in 95, 96, and 97, they were ranked right around 8th. So we're right in that ballpark where they were at. But it's been a long time if you look at 1998 to 2019. So
yeah, that's a long time. But it's been a great run so far. And your only blemish, when you think about it, is a 1-point loss. I mean, you could easily be sitting undefeated at this point. I don't know if that would improve your stock as to where you're at in the playoffs, but automatic now have a home game in hand. That's got to feel good because you still have one more game to play. And but that's not going to be a factor as far as where you end up at, but it'll affect who you're playing and stuff like that. But at least you have that already in the bag and something that you can hope to focus on for the kids.
It is. I mean, it's one of those things. The kids know it's the first time since I've been head coach that we've clinched a playoff spot. Going into Week 10. Usually at this time in Week 10, we still have to try to win the game, and sometimes we need help from other schools. So it is a nice feeling to know that you're already in the state playoffs, but. It really hasn't changed our approach to what we've been doing this week. I mean, we still play a rivalry game in Edison, and, we want to finish on a high note here and go into the playoffs with a win. So, our kids have been really focused in, and, we've emphasized, too, that, it's hard if you don't continue an upward movement. Going into the playoffs, you want to be playing your best football, and I think we are playing it right now. So, we want to make sure when we play Edison this week that we keep that going, that we keep getting better, we keep doing things correct, and, we don't want to go backwards in our play.
And you and I talked, before we went on air. Right now you could be anywhere from 2 to 4. Not sure who. But is there any particular team or style that you see out there that you feel you'd match up better? You just, whoever it is, bring them on.
Well, I mean, we had a camp day with Salem way back in July, and that's one of the teams that we could end up playing. And last year, we played Hubbard in the state playoffs, and we were in the game there till halftime, and then we let it get away from us in the second half. So
they're back.
They're back in the realm, and if Girard would beat Niles and then have a chance to play Girard. So, and we scouted Girard last year. We played Edison on a Thursday night. We actually went and watched Girard play because they were in that mix with Hubbard, and so it's probably going to be one of those 3 teams, and we're just happy to know that one of those 3 teams for sure is coming to our place, and we're not going their place. So.
Amen.
Yeah, you got there's a bunch of teams there that you've had experience with. Girard's in the 8th position. If you would play right now, if they went by the end of this week, you'd be going against Struthers, who's 6-3. But they've got a good schedule too. So there's really no teams in there that you can say, we're going to play them, we're going to beat them. Because when you get to this point, the next 8, I call it after the regular season's over. Anything can happen. I mean, that's why you play the games, but you're sitting in a good spot. But, it's always tough. I think it's harder in the playoffs, and I would think it would be harder for visiting teams to come in and beat home teams because now it's one and done. And they're going to have their fans there, all of their fans, all their band, all that stuff there, all the momentum of being at home, sleep in your own bed, all that kind of stuff that goes with it. And they're going to have to travel however far it is to get to you and then have to go through all that. And then, it's just like, man, we got all this stuff stacked against us, which as a home game, you want to win because you have all those elements going for you.
Well, I just think sometimes when you're getting ready for a game of this magnitude, you're playing a state playoff game. I mean, anything with familiarity is going to be better for you. And being in your own locker room and going through your own regiment that you're used to. You're going to a stadium where, maybe last year we'd never been to Hubbard before. Just finding the stadium, then taking all your stuff and not forgetting stuff. And so I think that is something was one of our goals beginning of the year. And right now, every goal that we set is still there other than the undefeated season. And so, our kids have worked really hard to get to this point, and I think it's been a motivating factor for us. We said this was a very important part because we haven't won a playoff game, and it's a lot better for you mentally to be playing at home when you still have that hanging over your head, which is we haven't won a playoff game.
Well, it's nice you've had the experience of being there a few times. Plus, your quarterback's coach sitting up there at the bar came in, and he's he made the playoffs with Mingo way back when. So you've got some experience on your staff. Not that far back when, but you got some experience on your staff, not only with you and with him and stuff. So that I think that kind of thing helps as you're not a first-time playoff opponent, that you have been there and you know what it takes to get there and what it takes to move forward. So I think that helps out the kids too.
It has. I think right now we're looking at 6 times in the last 9 years to make the state playoffs. So, our kids understand what it's like to be in this type of week, week 10 week. And, what it takes to get ready to go into Week 11. So, I think the biggest thing for us, this week was trying to get our kids healthy. We were banged up. 2 physical teams in a row with, playing Martins Ferry, playing Harrison. So, just getting that kind of rest and trying to get our kids back to where they need to be as we move forward. And, like you said, I think the biggest thing for us is the kids, especially our senior class, has been in the playoffs, 2 of the last 3 years. And, they want that win too. And, this group sees this as their mark. We told them, you go back to Indian Creek, you go back to Mingo or Wintersville, nobody's won a playoff game. So if you want to stand out, you want to have that argument down the road someday about who the best team in the school district history is. You win a playoff game and you start right there. It's pretty tough to argue against you.
We're kind of bummed out because the last couple of years you've played Edison on a Thursday night, and we've been able to come here and there and do the game, and now you're playing on a Friday night this year, which is it's wrong. I mean, why aren't you playing on Thursday?
You know what? It's the home team's decision, and I like playing.
That's how it works every year. Yeah.
And in the last couple of years, we've both agreed to go to Thursday. I don't know what the reasoning was to play on Friday. I mean, we like Thursday. We thought it was a cool thing. Last year, at our place was packed. I mean, nobody else was playing, and so people want to find somewhere to go and do something. And they just told us this year, no games, so we got to go by what they tell us. So
it's good that you've clinched that spot, and staying in the top 4, because with Edison coming up, you're not going to get any points. They haven't won a game yet. So really last week against Harrison was a bigger game than what some people might think, because you beat them and they beat St. Clair's and stuff like that. You were able to get some points out of it, where you're really not going to get help this week. So when you look at the other games around there, have you gone through the scenarios to see where you're probably going to end up and who you're probably going to play?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the truth of it. I'm not really smart enough to do all the math. I mean, and I know that, my math teachers at Catholic Central, whether it be Mrs. Camilletti or any of those math teachers, are probably disappointed right now to hear that. But I have a lot of coaches that have notebooks and they have all the math, and they've given me different scenarios every day. So if this was a war game, we would attack the wrong place about 6 or 7 times. So,
like battleship.
Yeah,
right?
So we would not have done very well with that. But I see the books open. Everybody got a book and they got numbers, and there's so many factors going into this, because our schedule, all the teams that we've beaten, they play teams that are equal to them, and so you're counting on them to win, and then you're doing second level points. And I know in a couple of these things, we're talking the difference between us finishing second and third is .00 something, and then somebody finishing fifth, the sixth could be .001. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out, play our football game, and get ready and do what we're supposed to against Edison. And then Saturday night we do have one team that we could end up playing.
That's
Salem plays West Branch that evening. We'll go scout that game. And
well, you should know by probably around 11 o'clock Friday night, after all the other games are gone, by just looking on Joe Itao and then see, this is where it's going to be at. We're going to be home against this team or that. Or if they lose, you're doing this. If they win, you're doing this.
For us, though, we're going to have to go scout Salem, because I think it's going to be one of those things. If Salem loses that game that night, they don't play us. If they win that game that night, they play us. Well,
so
I got to go scout them, because
I'm
not sure what will happen. So, and then we play, our Ferry Blair games on a Saturday afternoon. So that could change things for us too. So I mean, to me, it's just an exciting experience for the kids and especially for our community. I mean, we've been very fortunate. When we traveled this year or played at home games, there have been so many people there in red and gold and rooting us on. And we've gotten a lot of support from the other teams inside the Indian Creek School District. And today the kids had a pep rally down at Wintersville Elementary. The young kids were down there wearing all their red and gold. So it's been a really good experience for us. And I'm really excited to see what kind of crowd we get next Saturday. Everybody's off on a Saturday night.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what it'll be like. I've had a lot of my former football players, from classes call and say their class has got 7 kids coming, or this class has got 6 kids coming, and so I think it's going to be a very special night for us when we host that playoff game.
You just got to hope that it's not that special, to where it takes away from, all the what you're there for is for the game. The pageantry that goes around the game is one thing, but, that's the thing to be careful, I guess, is to make sure they're concentrating right here and not what's going on around you.
That's one of those things you always tell your kids, and I think, they've done well, because we've traveled in big games this year and had a lot of people there, and they just went out and they played football. And, I mean, so I'm assuming that, this was their goal. And, to me, legacy means a lot, and I think even to kids today it means a lot. And, knowing that they can put their name on that Wall as the first ever playoff winning team would be something awfully special for them.
The Andrew Connor Coaches Show, Indian Creek's head coach, is being brought to you by Everhart Bow Funeral Home. Let's take a timeout. We'll be back with this week's opponent, the Edison Wildcats, after this.
This is Ohio Valley Sports Online, your connection to Ohio Valley sports. Listen anywhere in the world from any connected device, smartphone, tablets, iPads, and computers. Ohio Valley Sports Online brings you live game action from the guys with over 50 years in radio sports broadcasting.
Everhart Bow Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bow ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bow Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bow Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
Thanks a lot for following us at Ohio Valley Sports Online. Why not visit our webpage at OhioValleySportsOnline.com? It's the way to go for sports fans around the globe to follow your favorite local sports teams.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
Thanks, Everhart Bow Funeral Home, for sponsoring Indian Creek head coach Andrew Connor on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Ohio Valley Coaches Shows, live here from Bennigan's. We're talking with Indian Creek head coach Andrew Connor, but first we want to mention that, each week that we're here, the FOP Lodge, number one, is having a reverse raffle, and that's coming up here on November the 16th at the FOP reverse raffle. Got a lot of good stuff there. They've got a Jim Brown autograph helmet raffle, a replica helmet autographed by Hall of Famer Jim Brown of the Browns. Includes a Cleveland Browns display case and a certificate of authenticity. Also a Tom Brady autograph jersey raffle. It's a white jersey. They're beautiful jerseys. Includes a black New England Patriots display case and 2 certificates of authenticity. Along with that, the following items are up for bid or raffle, including a yellow Steelers helmet autographed by Jack Lambert, a black Steelers helmet autographed by Heath Miller with handwritten career stats on it, an autographed Buster Douglas boxing glove with an autographed Mike Tyson glove also. I think the Buster Douglas glove beat the Mike Tyson glove. A Notre Dame helmet autographed by the Bus, Jerome Bettis, and Ben Roethlisberger autographed Steelers football. Hall of Fame mini helmet autographed by multiple Hall of Famers, including Lynn Swann and Mean Joe Green. And see any Lodge number 1 member for a ticket on that. Speaking of the Bus autograph, speaking of buses, I mean, you see in Pittsburgh where they had a sinkhole and a bus went down in there? Well, somebody sent me a Facebook thing and had the sinkhole and had Jerome Bettis in the hole because it was a bus in the. It was kind of stupid, but I laughed at it. All right, Coach, let's talk about the Edison Wildcats, your number 1 rival. Are you still playing? Do they still have the Route 43 trophy? Has that been retired? Or?
Well, we still do it. I don't know if they still do it. I mean, we still do it. So my argument always been, if it's a rivalry, it's a rivalry. It shouldn't matter who's winning, who's losing it. I mean, that's the part of the rivalry. I mean, it's good for it. So, we still honor the rivalry. I mean, we got into it. We moved the game to week 10. So, proximity wise and the kids knowing each other. I think the biggest thing for us is something that motivates our kids. They see the trophy sitting there, and they realize that last year. And it starts with me last year. We just, we didn't have a very good week of practice, and I think we got caught up, worrying about the playoffs, and we're trying to get into the playoffs, and we forgot a simple task, and that is you still have to play all 10 games first before you get week 11. So, we've been kind of putting that in the kids' heads this year and reminding them that, for this to be a special season, you got to finish the regular season first, and, Edison's that opponent on Friday night.
they're winless, and they've had a tough season. And we saw them several weeks back against Catholic Central. They've got some players, but it just seems like they don't have enough of players that they need in order to win football games. And it's a lot of schools have gone through that situation where you've had down years where you've maybe 1, 0, 2 wins a season for a while, and I know it's got to be tough for them because they have a good program out there. We know, Mr. Beatty and everybody else out there, and I know they're busting their tails, but it just hasn't happened for them this year. What have you seen on tape that, why aren't they winning, and how do you attack that now for you guys on Friday?
Well, I mean, I'm fortunate, where I work at the JVS, I teach and see a lot of the kids who played Edison, and I know that they want to do well and they want to win, and they talk about that. So it's not for lack of effort. Sometimes things just don't go your way. And we were at the Central game scouting them, a few weeks back, and they played a very, very good first half, and they were right in the game with them. It was 14-13 at halftime. They missed an extra point, but they have their moments. But the problem is sometimes when you're having a bad season, it doesn't seem like you have enough of those moments, or things seem to go bad in a hurry because the luck of that year has been a bad year. And but I think a lot of Shane O'Brien. Shane played for me in the Ohio Penn game when he was a senior, and the first time I coached the game as head coach. And I got to know him, and I think he's a hard worker. I think Edison's got a good football coach in Shane, and I think he wants them to do well. I think he does the right things. I think some years you just can't explain why things happen the way they happen. It's no one's fault. They just don't seem to work your way. I mean, sometimes you get that bounce, it bounces back to you, and sometimes that ball bounces the other team. And I think they just had a lot more of those bounces this year. And sometimes when you're winning, luck plays into it. The ball bounces back to you or it rolls out of bounds, and you keep the ball. And I think that's been the biggest thing. But I think their effort's been good. I think one of the things you see on film, and we saw that last week when they played Buckeye, is they haven't quit. And that, to me, is a credit not only to the kids, but it's a credit to their coaching staff. They are still playing hard. I mean, you could say they had no reason to keep playing last week, and they did. They kept fighting, kept battling. The game was good between them and Buckeye. And, I think that says a lot about the kids at, Edison.
Yeah, they scored 35 points. I mean, anytime you score 35 points, most of the time you're going to win. They didn't last week, but they still showed a little bit of firepower there. So I know that this game, I don't want to say it doesn't mean anything. You want to go out with a win. You want to go into the playoffs on a winning note. But they haven't won a game this year, and now you're in the playoffs and you're getting a home game. Is there any thought to resting people, to make sure that you don't get any unnecessary injuries so that you're not full strength when you go into the playoff, or does that not even come into play?
Yeah, we're going to coach the game, and we practice this week as if it was, any other football game you're playing, And again, I think a lot of it is patterns. I mean, you set up patterns the way you play, and I think sometimes when you start to do things that are not characteristic of yourself, when you start to do those type of things, then bad things happen to you anyhow. So, our kids are excited, and one of the things I look at is, in high school you're only given so many games, and to tell a kid, hey, we're going to rest you for this or that, that's not really fair to them. So we're going to go out, play as hard as we can as early, in the game, and see where it falls, But again, the biggest thing for us is, and they have heard it from me, they will hear it from me tomorrow, is that we were in the same spot, except we were at Kettlewell Stadium last year, and we found ourselves in a 4-quarter dogfight.
I remember that game.
And we were down at halftime, and we needed to win the game. This isn't like you already know where you're at. We had to win to get into the state playoffs, and so, I think our kids are motivated by that, and I think they want to finish what they've started. I mean, the most wins in school history in a regular season is 9. We've done that 4 times. They could tie that. We're still playing for the OVAC. They want that. We haven't lost a Buckeye North game since the Buckeye North was created back in 2014.
How about your seniors for 4 years? Is that approaching a record as far as most wins for a class?
They're close, and I know Trevor Fonte's close to going over 3,000 yards for his career. I think right now our defense is on pace to maybe become the all-time.
They fought from week 1. I mean, and they're young. They have a big, strong sophomore tailback. They get a freshman wide receiver quarterback. What do you expect to see from them offensively, and also what are they going to throw at you defensively?
Well, offensively, they do a lot. They do a lot of different formations. They play 2 different kids at quarterback. They have a freshman Klein, and then they have Noah Woods playing quarterback, and then when Noah Woods aren't there, they put him out at flanker. They've got some good running backs. I think they're pretty big up front, and they do a pretty good job of, taking the air out of the ball too. When I watched them against Central, I thought they did a really good job. They got in tight, and they kind of forced Central into a very fast-moving first half because they didn't get many possessions. So, that gives credit to coaching. You know what you got, you do the best what you can. So I give them credit for that. Last week they were a little more open against Buckeye. They scored a lot of points, and when you look at them defensively, I think they play a physical game. I thought they made some big plays, and of course, everybody when they're going through a bad year, you give up some bad plays, and but I still think when you watch them play, when you're just sitting there watching them, and I was in the stadium watching them at Harding Stadium when they were playing, or watching them on film. Again, I can't say enough about how hard they continue to play. I mean, it's almost like it's impossible to believe that a team that's sitting where they're sitting on a win-loss record is still playing that hard.
Yeah.
And they are, and like I said, I see those kids every day at school. I think there's 6 of them are out there with me. And they talk to me about football, and they're still intrigued by it. I mean, they're not talking about wrestling. They're not talking about basketball. So, it'll be a good game for us. And I think it's a good game for the communities. I think it'll be fun for the kids, and I think that's what you want out of a high school football game.
Hey, Jack, before we go any further, I got a text from one of our buddies, and Goot Serafini's listening in, and I got to tell him, Coach Connor and I both agree Bubba was a smarter Serafini after seeing your text. And also,
I always hate saying that myself now, too. I could never think I'd say Bubba was smarter than. I don't think that word ever popped into my mind.
Yeah, that phrase wasn't one you were going to say.
I'm taking back. I'm taking a little back. And I know there's going to be people that will now be texting me saying, what in the world are you doing?
Actually, I said it. He did.
Okay.
But I got to give you my condolences also for Saturday night, too, Bubba. I hope you're okay.
You're right.
Good. I hope you're okay.
Well, it's hey, we get to talk another week. We'll be back here next Wednesday. So, thanks for the time. Up through these first 10 weeks, we appreciate you coming in and chatting with us every week. And I know you could be doing other things, but it's good to get people talking about Creek football. And we're three of our 4 teams, possibly 4 of our teams that we do the interviews with, all might be in the playoffs come Saturday or Sunday. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to covering and seeing you guys who you end up with next week and getting a chance to come out there and check out the new turf. I'm going to go down the turf and run. I might even slide.
Don't get hurt now. I don't
know
how much insurance we got, so don't start tapping it on the insurance.
What's all this negative comments coming from?
He's not running.
I mean, there's a lot of people shaking their heads inside this place right now. I mean, I don't see anybody in this place nodding approval to you sliding or running.
I might just have Jason
fling
me, and maybe I'll slide down.
I know.